There is two moods with which I could start the photography unit in the visual art class, and it's either, oh my god, let's give it a second chance, because I don't have a feel around photography and what it feels like and what's the purpose of it, because it seems like a cheat code for capturing something that is already there. So when I am drawing a still life, it's not like I have to have a skill of capturing it, of copying. Even though I'm still copying things down, I'm still having my way around manipulating these objects, and I could totally screw up by having my vase too big compared to the apple, or the other way around. But with photography, it seems it just a click of a mouse or whatever that is, and that's done. Which I know that photography people who are out there are going to be really mad with me, but that's my perspective on it, and I don't have a proper way to go around it. And that's why sometimes whenever we have a photography unit, which seems like every single year we have to, like, there is no such thing as film in visual arts, I guess. So we just keep going with photography, and nothing new happens. It just new unit, and you gotta capture new things. Otherwise, it just annoys me, because as I said, I'm giving photography a new chance, and then I'm disappointing myself in some sort of way, because I don't really understand what is the purpose of capturing that is already there. So obviously a pretty picture, but when you are not specifically trying to set the mood and set the stage, basically, when you do not purposefully put apple here and a pretty woman here because they juxtapose or whatever, then it's, if you go outside and be like, okay, I'm gonna capture this, and you take a picture of a pretty bird, and then you get famous by taking a picture of a pretty bird, I don't really get what the point of that is. So it is naturally occurring that for me, when in DP1 we start this whole new unit on photography, I'm originally lost. I feel like this time around we started it and it was so sharp, and I was just thrown in the middle of the battlefield, and I don't know my way around it. And those kind of tasks where it's like, go around the school and photograph. Like, what do you mean photograph? Like, what do you want me to photograph? Obviously, it's a challenge for myself, and I'm not saying that my opinion on it is correct, because I know that it's wrong. I know that for some people there is something huge in photography that they like, and even in parts of me, like when I got into this flow state, when I recently did my not recently, it was quite a few months ago, I did a photo shoot with one of my classmates, which you can see on my Instagram. I was really enjoying it, but anyways, I was setting out the whole frame. I was telling her, oh, put your hand like that. Oh, put your leg like that. Oh, wear those glasses, wear that hat, you know? I chose the location, and all of the process of it, of organizing it, it really brought me a lot of fulfillment, and it felt like I could do photography, you know? So all I'm saying is that I don't have enough of experience with it and positive interactions and me exploring different directions of photography to necessarily form an opinion on what photography is to me, which is quite upsetting and annoying, especially because we have the unit every single year. So when I was told in this unit for photography, it's something photography slash mixed media. I thought we were starting off with photography, then we switched to painting, now mixed media, so I'm really confused. But the idea is a mixed media, that we have to also take photographs and implement them to paintings or like charcoal drawings, whatever that is, like implement in different medias. I think that makes sense. And there's this creator that I'm obsessed, that my best friend discovered for me, and she was like, you would love her, and I do love her. Her tag is with karocrafts, and I'm obsessed. I feel like her content is so self-shaped that she knows what she's doing, she knows what her style is, even though I doubt you as an artist ever feel that. But just from my perspective, when you look at her page on Instagram, you just see the vibe she's going for, and that is amazing. And I really wanted to use her as my inspiration. So heads up, like a little bit of clarification, before you start this unit, before you start an investigation, oh my gosh, a work, like before you come into the unit, basically, like as a pre-work, you do artistic investigation. I have to be checking the time because I'm recording on a school morning, so I might have to be leaving in like 20 minutes or something. Anyways, the point is, I also apologize for the noises in the background because we have workers in our house doing something to our heating, and I can't control that, and I really want to like record, so I hope that's fine. Otherwise, this critical investigation is that when you choose an artist and you do like a whole lot of research about them. And for me, like at first times we did this investigation, it was a huge whoa for me because I realized how much inspiration you can get from a singular artwork, from a singular artist, from their journey. And I investigated someone called, let me actually look it up because oh my gosh, I completely forgot her. I was obsessed with her. Listen, I'm gonna put on the name somewhere on the screen because I was obsessed with her. I still follow her on Instagram, and one of my submission pieces was heavily inspired by her. I still regret not posting it on Instagram and tagging her because, like, you can see the similarity where I was inspired, you know? So I was inspired by her, and her biography, even though we have to write some biography, it didn't make sense to me because why would what university you went to make sense to me? But I didn't focus on biography at that time, and I more focused on the fact that her journey, her traumatic events, like you want to know about that because you know that this, like all of the experiences she had in her life, these were the experiences that had shaped her as an artist and her art. Not what kind of university she went to, not what kind of education she got, not what kind of grades she got. Obviously, like to some extent, and maybe for some people it'd be more than others, but in case with this artist, no. And when we started this photography unit, I did another artist, don't remember the name, I'm gonna put it on a screen, and I did the research, and turns out for the biography you do not need to, in fact, put like he was born here, he did that, but you sort of need that, so that's confusing. But anyways, the point is to concentrate on the events that had shaped the artist and his art, their art, as it is. And I did this artist that, like, from the link from the list of artists or museums that we can choose from, because they consider the artist who had made it. And by made it, I mean they are in a well-known galleries. I don't know, like I guess that's the end point. They are just in this well-known gallery. And I don't remember what I thought about it for the first time because I was just like really grateful with the information that our teacher had gave us, the list of like top known galleries in the world or something, because I feel like that's a really cool list to have in case, well, why should I not say it, when I'm gonna be able and want to broaden my art globally. When that would be my goal, not currently, but someday I know it will. So I was inspired by that, and in this unit we had to choose an artist, and then they were like, okay, let's do mixed media, and I was like, ooh, karocrafts, I want to use her as my inspiration. I know that there's not much, obviously there's no such thing as a biography published on her on like Wikipedia or something, even though I never trust Wikipedia. I was obsessed, like I wanted to use her so bad. I wanted to use her works as an inspiration, as something to basically implement in my own art. And I asked the teacher, and they told me no, like be careful with that. And then, if I remember correctly, they dropped a comment about how basically the artist has to, like, does they identify do they have a label, are they actually artists, or they're just the influencer, you know, haha he. Made me so mad because I am like a content creator. I don't know like what exact definition of an influence is, but I am producing content, and and who said content isn't art? Like, excuse me, do you see the light that I set up? Do you see the setting that I have? Do you see the warm light? Like, everything. Like, who said that this isn't art? By the way, used to be obsessed with adding art in front of everything. Like, art of talking, art of expressing myself, art of thinking. Now I hate it. I feel like that's the most boring thing to make a catchy title. Like, with this like success, you could be just saying, I don't know, art of spaghetti. And like, this reminds me of that filter on TikTok, which was like, you make cover out of everything, and there was being debates like you can't put anything on a cover and it looks aesthetic, and people were literally throwing their phones in the air. The shot would set off and you would have this amazing cover and it looked good, and I think that's what the world's perspective on the art of spaghetti is. So when the teacher gave me like this feedback, like, ooh, be careful with that, you know, because like, can you really say that she's an artist? And I could, yes, but she also has her own brand, her clothes. She has so much. She is a content creator. Like, why? And it made me think of how this saying, joke, whatever, I heard when I was a child, that you cannot paint 100 paintings and be an artist. You cannot cook 100 meals and be a cook. You cannot do something else and be something else. But if you kill one single person, you will be a murderer. And that's an interesting concept, and just popped in my head at that moment, and I was like, bitch, that's why I cannot identify as an artist, because like, how does this work like that? Like, why you can gain a label of something bad so easily compared to getting a label of something good. It's like, you have to prove to be good. Again, the play of court, where you have to prove to be innocent, that this man hasn't raped me, had raped me, oh my gosh, had raped me. I'm a victim here, and I have to prove this. But also, and then in life, you cannot, like, you can gain the label of being bad so easily. Like, you kicked a child, you are mean. You said this dog look ugly, you are mean to animals. I don't know. Oh my gosh, there is like such a like miscommunication, I think, and just like these abstract concepts that annoy me so much. And this whole idea if you could be an artist or not is really confusing, because I feel like at first, for me to identify this, talking about personal experience, is that I have to figure out what artist means to myself. And the fact that I haven't been making art just for myself for a while now is a huge factor, but I really don't know what else to add there, because why am I more comfortable with a label of content creator, where I've literally been doing this since last year properly, alright? When I have graduated art school, I have a degree of me going to an art school for 3 to 4 years, and I still cannot. I have amazing grades in art school. It's not like I was failing it. I was, oh my gosh, what is it called? When they pay for you because you're that good. I was getting that. And I'm not here to brag, I'm just saying that why did I get through these experiences of being heavily involved with art, of taking art SL in DP, and then of like heavily participating it like throughout my middle school years. I've always been an artistic kid, and I cannot properly call myself an artist. Then the next thing is that in the experience of me with writing, I've been writing since I was a child. Since the minute I could write, I would write creatively, okay? And for the last half a year, I couldn't write. I had an art blog and I just let go. You can listen about it more on my podcast. Ins and outs of 2025. And I talk about this more in depth there, but the point is that I got out of it, and right now, as I know, so I have so many energy and motivation to do art again. I feel I feel inspired. Like, like I can call myself a writer again. Like, I'm so like excited to start a new writing project, even though I don't have like specific plan in mind. I already can say yes, I'm a writer. And maybe it's the concept of coming out of your comfort zone, because even when I didn't feel like a writer like 6 months ago, I would still be people be asking like, oh, who are you? I'm a writer. And it didn't feel like it didn't feel right to say it at the moment, but I kept going. And maybe that's what I should be doing with the concept of artists. Like, oh, who are you? I'm writer and artist. I'm a content creator. I'm ABCD. The fact that I put labels on myself right now is kind of crazy, because I never liked labels, I think. But moving on from this part into more of a critical investigation that we had to do and what the issue I have with it. I get the idea behind it, that you sit down and you try to concentrate on like one artist and see, and it's like doing deep work instead of multitasking. But the whole concept of being an artist is to steal, and I cannot retell how many artists I've heard say this. I read a book about it, Still Like an Artist. I okay, Basquiat. He also is a hugely like known individual for with the concept of stealing like an artist. And this whole idea of investigating one person seems to be a deep work. Like, you try to steal from one person and then be like, this corner of my huge art piece represents how I've been influenced by this artist. Or you can see that the whole style of this painting is really influenced heavily by this artist. And I mean, that's good, but can you really call it a proper stealing if me, like someone who isn't connected to your art, can make a connection? Oh, you stole that. Like, literally, I can see the connection. Like, that's not fun, girl. Like, isn't the point of more having a multitasking approach with investigating other artists and stealing from all kinds of sources, so that when a person A points out in your painting, like, oh, this looks like that artist, you'd be like, and then they look at the other part of your painting and be like, oh, but that looks like that artist. I think they would just, like, they're just well-known people who know a lot of stuff about art, and they've been influenced entirely. And I heard this on Instagram recently, don't remember the correct phrasing, but it was something that making art is just making the connections, and it was proven scientifically. Didn't listen to the whole like 1 minute yapping about that, but anyways, the point is that is in fact it. We as humans, our brains are incapable of forming brand new ideas. It's always the combination of like a few multiple concepts that maybe our brain has forgotten of, or combined with the two. It's like, when you think of a bird but you forgot what exact bird that is, and you think of a giraffe and you combine the two and you get the bird giraffe, and it never existed, but here it is, a brand new idea of a bird giraffe, if that makes sense. So that's what I got like on stealing like an artist. And for me, with writing, I really had to think about it, because writing is art. So how do you steal there? And I realized that literally real life, people saying cool phrase on the street, and you're like, oh, I like the way you said it, And then you see someone expressing their emotions like in a weird way, like suppressing but also oversharing, but then they also mean to you or something, like, I don't know, like the most random combinations ever, right? And I'm just wondering if that was my dad who wants me to let him in. Okay, so the most random combinations, and you just steal that, you just pull it to yourself. Just yesterday, I had finished reading this book called Funny Story by Emily Henry, and she mentioned something like this line that really captured me, like it made me like, whoa. It was, a main character described her heart as feeling raw after, like, when she's with a person she loves, and like the whole like context, and I loved it so much, I just noted down in my notes, and it never occurred to me that you can do that. Like, I feel a little bit illegal saying this, but can't you? Like, would this not be a form of stealing? Like making lists of fascinating words, making lists of, I don't know, colors. Wouldn't stealing different colors be stealing, considered like artistic stealing? Because like, how can you describe blue? Like, there's much more than light and dark blue. So you could see somewhere, I don't know, on a billboard it says this kind of blue, and you're like, ooh, I like that, I like that, I like that, and then you steal that. And I'm just realizing that writing as a form of basically copying down real world, but in your own way, you could manipulate it as much as you want and just like steal from real life. You saw this pretty dress in the antique store and you copy it and you describe it in real life, but then turns out this dress was famous, and it's like, ooh, but I thought it was an actual dress, but I stole the idea of a famous dress. And it's like, it's getting, I can see where it's getting complicated, and it's an interesting topic of discussion, and it's just fascinating because there is so much blurry lines, and you cannot specifically say you're an artist or not, what considers bad stealing, what considers good stealing, and then this whole idea of how easily you can get attached to bad labels, and why does it that you can always get, I mean, I think it makes sense, but bad habits are so much easier because, I mean, they are produced with a reason, like, for example, smoking, scrolling, alcohol, it all gives like some kind of dopamine. But then this raw pleasure of like not hard work, because I wonder if hard work was initially created by people and there is no such thing as hard work. It's just like there is no such thing as passion, because recently I realized this last night, because there is no such thing as passion, because if you were born 100 years ago or some, oh my gosh, that's so vague, okay, and you thought that your passion was carriage riding, like when you have a carriage, you sit in front of it and you lead the horse, and you thought that this brings you a lot of fulfillment, like you help people get to their destinations, and you like the idea of horse, and then it all disappeared because they invented cars. I mean, you can still direct your passion into taxi bus drivers, but would that be considered the same? Okay, now I have a dead end with this theory, but the thing is, we make up things and we call them like it could be actual passion, but then before they were invented, there was no such thing. Like, was the passion what initially invented it, or was it the passion for invention that had invented it? And I really think this is going to be it for today, because as I said, school morning and I gotta hurry up. I really enjoyed talking this. I feel like this was more of an energetic talk than last time. Probably has something to do that I'm in my follicular/ovulation phase. So keep an eye on, I'm keeping an eye on that, and I hope you're gonna have a great day. I hope you benefited from this and you enjoyed this mini deep conversation talk. See you next one, and bye.